Hey everyone, Jake here for American Muscle, and in this video we're taking a look at the MBRP Armor Black Race Version Catback Exhaust fitting 2024 and newer Mustang GT Fastbacks without the factory active exhaust. Now this system is for the S650 GT owner who's looking for the most volume and the best sound they can get for the money. This is a full catback system that's going to make your car sound the absolute business, but it's not going to cost you a bundle. Now on our loudness meter, this one really brings the heat, and accordingly we're going to give it a very strong 4 out of 5. If you're looking for outright volume, well, you've got it here. Make no mistake, it is loud, but man, it really does sound good too. Now I will admit that I make absolutely zero bones about the fact that I'm a fan of MBRP's exhausts. I ran one on an old truck of mine for years, and this system reminds me of what I really like about their offerings. They have some of the best sound for the least amount of money, and this one just has a little added flavor. Now, as the name would imply, this is a full catback setup, so it's going to replace your factory mufflers and resonators, leaving you with just these two little canister style resonators at the back. Now this is MBRP's race profile, so it is the loudest option in their lineup. And as you heard from the clips at the start of the video, this one is going to give you a really deep guttural sound, and it really lets the Coyote open its lungs in a way that the stock system never could. It really makes the S650 sound like a true race car. Now of course, more noise outside means more noise inside of the cabin, but despite this one's volume, it's really not that obtrusive. You can still take your car on a long trip with this installed, and it's not going to grate your nerves like some other options might. And drone is kept at bay thanks to the included H-pipe. H-pipes are great because they do a couple of things for you. First, they allow exhaust gas pulses to cross over and come together, which is going to eliminate dissonant frequencies that cause that pesky drone. These can also increase exhaust flow and thus power, especially at lower RPMs, which for a high-strung engine like the Coyote is certainly a benefit. And while we're not going to be dyno testing this one, you can expect a bit of a horsepower gain just because this one is going to flow a bit more freely than your stock system. Where this system differs from the rest though is at the back, and you've probably already noticed it. Both the mufflers and the tips are finished in a high temp black coating for some stealthy good looks and additional protection. Now the tips are dual wall slash cut units that are 4.5 inches in diameter, so these are going to be a big step up from your factory ones. And they're going to look a little more sinister too. So if you're going for that fully blacked out look with your car, these are really going to help add to it. Now these tips are made from T304 stainless steel, while the rest of the system is made from mandrel bent 3-inch aluminized steel. Now this material is best suited to a car that lives in a dry climate. So if you live in the desert or your car doesn't see a lot of snow and rain, this is going to serve you really well. And since the rearmost parts are coated in that high temp black, these are going to have some additional protection against rust and corrosion for you. Now this one is definitely a value proposition, as it's going to save you a considerable amount of money over a 409 or T304 stainless setup. So if you live in an area where you don't see a ton of snow, ice, or salt or anything like that, or even just moisture, this is going to really serve you well, and you'll be able to save some money too. And that brings us nicely to the price, which, as I've alluded to, is probably the best part. This setup is only going to run you about $900, and that is a great price even compared to the most affordable T304 stainless catback available for these cars. It's a really killer price for a killer sound with some good looks and additional peace of mind thrown in for good measure. So if you want to get the most sound for your money, this is going to be your system. Installation gets a 2 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and the job should take you around 2 hours to complete. This is of course going to be a bolt-on job, and it doesn't require you to make any modifications to your vehicle. It'll use all your factory exhaust hanger locations, and it's just going to bolt right up. Now exhaust can be a bit finicky to fit just because space under your car is tight if you're not working on a lift. But fear not, this is definitely a job that you can tackle at home. And we're going to walk you through the install process right now, so for that, let's head on out to the shop.
For this install, you need a 3/8 impact, 3/8 extension, a 15 and 13 millimeter swivel socket, 8 millimeter Allen wrench, a pry bar, exhaust hanger tool, hammer, and also not shown be a lift and pull jack. Alright, today we're going to be putting an exhaust on our Mustang. First we're going to watch a quick video how to install a stock system, and then we'll come back here to install the new one.
So the first thing we're going to do is come to the double flange behind our cat. We have 4 15 millimeter bolts that we can loosen up with a 15 millimeter socket. Now we're going to leave this just like that for now as we work on the rest. One thing to keep in mind is when we go to pull this off, this little hook is keeping this on, so you're gonna have to get a flathead screwdriver to pull back on that on both sides when we go to remove it. Next, we can come right behind our rear diff to this hanger. There's one on each side of this bracket. There's a 13mm bolt holding it on. So I've got a 13mm swivel socket on an extension to pop this off. And now we'll just come to the other side and do the same exact thing. And now with them both removed, you can push up to get those hangers off the hooks. And do that same thing on the other side. Now, last thing we need to do before we can remove this is remove these two bolts that were on the inside of those two hangers behind the rear diff. So I'm using that same 13mm socket with an extension. Now with those removed, we can push it up off the hook and pull that down to get the clearance we need. So now I've got myself a buddy to support the weight of the rear of the exhaust while I work on the front. We're gonna push this towards the rear to disconnect these two pipes, and then we can pull it forward to pull it out of the back hanger. So now with our exhaust removed, we can take an exhaust hanger remover tool to pop off these two hangers because we will have to reuse them for our new exhaust. Now, last thing we need to pop off is our two clamps that are at the front of the exhaust. You can take a rubber mallet and get the edge of a pry bar on the edge of the clamp to tap these off.
So we're gonna start off at the front here. We're gonna put our factory clamps back on. Just make sure you line up the notches with the clips there. We already have one here. This other one just slides right on like that. Then we can get our H-pipe in place. And you see I do have a pole jack just to help hold everything up. Just gonna get that back and slide that H-pipe into our front clamps. And we can go ahead and get our axle pipes on. So we have our axle pipe next. We already have our clamp on there. All of our clamps are the same size, 3 inch, so you don't need to mix them up. I'm gonna put our factory hanger on our new exhaust. We can just slide that into our H-pipe and just hook your hanger up in place on the rear subframe. And you can go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, and we'll get our bolts tightened for the back. All right, so we're gonna get our bolts threaded in. We got 2 on our hangers. Let's get them started. And we'll put our cover in place, hook that over, and thread in our 2 bolts. We can go ahead and grab our impact, extension, and 13mm swivel socket. We'll tighten all of those down. So we're gonna go ahead and start tightening our front clamps first. So we can grab an impact and 15mm socket, tighten our factory clamps. Now we can tighten our 2 clamps at the back of our H-pipe. Same thing, impact and 15mm socket. And now we can get our muffler sections on. All right, now we can get our muffler section in. So we're gonna put it in our rear hanger first, and then into our axle pipe. All right, now we got our muffler section on. We just have to tighten our clamp. Same thing, impact and 15mm socket. And you go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. We just need to put our tips on. Lastly, we just have our tip. So you see an Allen bolt on the side there. You just put that on, push it in however far you want, get it adjusted properly, and tighten it down with an 8mm Allen wrench. All right, let's go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. And that wraps up our install of our MBRP Armor Black Catback Exhaust race version for a 2024 and newer Mustang GT Fastback without active exhaust. And remember, for everything Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.